Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Battlefield ESL 1 group stage. We are going into the group of death, and I'm joined by the incredible Jason Kaplan. How are you doing today?
You know what? Change. That's my story for today.
Scares him, buddy. It scares him.
Because our producer just kind of did some weird hand movements, and it threw me completely off. But yeah, we have some exciting day at Battlefield. Obviously, like you said, group of death. I feel like there's two strong favorites though in this one, more so than the other groups than we've seen.
And speaking of the other groups, I think we need to kind of have a little refresher in case people are just tuning in. You haven't seen the previous matches, you haven't seen the previous groups. We should take a little bit of an overview as to what we've seen so far, because there has been a lot going down, and it's all about the kind of storyline coming through. And as nicely done by our producer, you can see the teams who have qualified from these groups. So from Group A, which was, I believe, on Monday the 28th, we had Fnatic and Planet Key going through in the end, and it was a fairly clear-cut kind of thing. But Infamous also gave us some surprises, didn't they? Yeah,
they did, but you know, in the long run, winning one or two maps is enough. You need to win those 2 games to really get qualified through, and unfortunately, they did fall through. But you know, as you can see right there, I mean, Infamous, they did beat Planet Key the first time, but then they just kind of
fizzled out.
Yeah.
Yeah. We kind of noticed that they were very strong on specific maps as well. It came down to kind of those 1 or 2 maps they were very good at, but when they didn't have those maps, it kind of fell apart. And then we can kind of look towards the next group, which is Group B. It was on Wednesday, not too long ago. And obviously, if you do want to check out the VODs, head over to esl-1.com and check them out for yourselves. But another kind of well-rounded group, but maybe not in the way we expected it to pan out.
Yeah, I think all of us did not expect PowerGen to beat Epsilon.
Yep.
In the obviously the second game of the day that we did, but they did very well. 2-0, obviously, as you can see, and then of course Epsilon almost losing to Exactly. That would have surprised everyone.
But it was a brilliant game to watch. So certainly worth going back over and checking out those VODs. I do assure you of that one. But let's talk about today's group, because it's the one we've been talking about since the very start of this. Once we saw, you know, how they got drawn out and how it was going to be, we have some brilliant teams in here, which can cause upsets. And we've already seen a couple of back and forth games, but your predictions on this one, who's going to go where? Let's at least talk about the 2 initial games from now.
Well, at least in the first game, I think we both can agree Michi Maker's probably going to beat ESU, but they've done that already in the cups. I think it was cut number 4. And ESC Dignitas, that's probably one of the, if not the hardest game to predict in this group to me. Because Dignitas haven't looked that strong. ESC haven't looked that strong, but anything can really happen right now. I want to give that one to Dignitas because Dalbert's so confident, but he's let me down.
They've got something, you know, look out for Dignitas. They've got something coming up. And they've always been on the cusp of brilliance, but they've never been quite there, I feel. And I don't think anyone's going to hate us for saying that. You know, the Finns, they're a strong team. No,
sorry, Dogbert might.
Yeah, Dogbert, the team are pretty chilled out. Dogbert might be sitting there crying into his Dignitas jumper, but, you know, the actual team, they're pretty chilled out guys, and they're certainly in the position to make an upset, but they have a hard route to get there. Very talented teams. Anyone could come through this group. As we've seen, you know, teams have been challenging those first early games, so anything could happen here. And what are your predictions in the game we're going to be watching, which will be that Dignitas game coming up?
You know, I want to trust Dogbert, but he's broken my heart so many times in the past. He really
is a bit of a heartbreaker.
He is. I mean, when he shaves and cleans up, it's just kind of
when Danny does his makeup, damn.
Completely caught me off on that one. But I want to get to Dignitas. And I was just looking at previously for ESC's results. I mean, they got to the quarterfinals twice. And round of 16 the other 2 times, like that's not the best of.
It's not the best, but then you've got to look at the overall competition. There are a lot of teams who can make it to those semifinals.
But they lost to Infamous twice.
But Infamous once again almost made it through their group as well, which has some of the strongest runners in it. You know, it's arguable.
It's tricky.
But it is very tricky in the end. So I think we're almost ready to get underway.
I believe we are almost. I think they're just waiting for one last team to be ready. They're just playing around with their
So while
they're
getting ready, let's kind of put it back to the audience out there, because obviously we sit in here and we don't get to hear from you that much. And I want to hear from you guys at home. I want your predictions, because you've seen the groups now. You've seen how they kind of panned out before. You may have even been watching the previous games or the cups running up to this moment. I'd hope they would have been. You
should have been.
You should have been. If you haven't been, go watch them back now. I told you where you need to go and find them, so go and do it. So get involved. You can see down below all the normal social media routes, but we also want to hear from you ourselves. So make sure you tweet through to @LakeOnMePansy and Jay Kaplan and tell us who you think is going to walk away with that first victory.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me the tickets. You don't have to tell me, you know which maps they're going to win.
If you could do the tickets as well, that'd be more impressive.
That's damn impressive. Yeah. That's where you should start winning skins and things like that. But that's a whole different game. But out of this one, ESC or Team Dignitas, 2 brilliant teams, very different styles, and both fairly unpredictable, I think is the best word to say, because they have their up and down moments. Sometimes they are great, sometimes not so much. As you said, ESC, bit shaky on their results on occasion, a little bit up and down, but they've always been, you know, maybe chipping away at the half. So pick up the half on a map against a very good team, but then, you know, that very good team steps up and beats them in the end. So
Sorry, I was just grabbing the map pool because I realized I didn't actually do that before we got into this.
That's actually a very good point. What are we going to be seeing first?
So we have Zavod as first map, chosen by ESC.
Okay.
Which is, that's kind of a ballsy play by them.
That is.
Knowing Dignitas on that. Then we'll be going to Go Mode Railway. So actually see that map finally for Dignitas. And the final one, if we do need it, will be Dawnbreaker.
Yeah, so let's get in game and we can get underway nice and quickly here. And we can take you through the lineups in case you haven't seen them before. Hopefully you have. As I said, two very well-known teams in the overall scheme of things. And, well, if you're even a Battlefield fan from the previous title, let's have a little
Sorry, I was looking at chat right there for a second. There's some interesting words being exchanged.
Who'd have expected that, eh? With these guys? Jeez. But anyway, let's take you through those lineups while we wait to get underway. For ESC, it's Baden, Doobie, Janssen, Lagza, and Explo. Why don't you take us through Dignitas?
Getting all fancy, Janssen. Yeah. I call him Janssen. All right, I'll go with Janssen. We have Frantic, Jaquili, Jerk, Sneaky, and Wallow. Obviously, a little bit of a change-up within their ranks from last season, but hopefully for the better for them. And as we can see, this is what we saw.
This is how Dignitas warm up.
I think you were on Operation Locker one time during one of the cups, and there was like a big death match happening on that one. And if you died, you would get pushed off of it over the cliff.
It was pretty harsh, and Dignitas are pretty damn good at that. Like, they may not win the overall games, but you know, when it comes down to those EOD bots, they are nailing it.
What
like,
if we actually did domination with EOD bots?
I think it would go very well.
Like, if you could, can you cap flags with them?
I'm not sure.
If you could, that would be the new meta. Like, everyone uses EOD bots.
I kind of hope it happens. I'm not sure if everyone else would agree. Dignitas certainly would do. They'd be well up for it.
I should really turn chat off.
You should.
I don't remember. Is it H?
I believe so.
No, H crashes the game, apparently. No, I'm just kidding. We're restarting the servers. Looks like both teams
it's
are
just
good
the producer suddenly panics and he's like, what? The game?
Yeah.
The game? But no, we will be loading back up. They'll just get themselves ready and, you know, warming up. Because obviously there is a lot on the line here, is to be able to get into a position to go through to the offline finals. That's where the big money comes into play. That's what these guys want. So, Zavod coming up. As we said, brave choice from ESC because this is quite a Dignitas-style map. We've seen them playing very well on this. Maybe not to their acknowledgement, but I certainly feel this is one of the stronger choices.
Yep. I mean, I think back, it was last season, I can't remember which cup we were doing, but like this is the first, or that was the first time we ever saw Dignitas do something really extraordinary in terms of how they set up. I mean, they were, at the time, one of the strongest teams in terms of getting into a site, putting their foot into it, you know, really getting bunkered down and holding on to it. And I wonder, since with the lineup change, if they've kind of lost control of that. I haven't seen them, honestly, between all the cups. I didn't even get to cast a single one of their games, unfortunately, because they got knocked out so soon in each one of them. But hopefully, we'll see a lot happening here. We obviously have Dignitas over on the Russian side and ESC over on the US side, and we're going to break this one out right away.
Yeah, indeed. And actually, ESC going for a bit of an interesting start there. Not going the usual route, as they are going to be on that US side. Ignoring B, going straight for C, and going for the pickup onto A. And actually, they do have the numbers advantage, but Frantic does need to get these kills in the bag, but actually he's been taken down very early on. So C and A are looking vulnerable, and with that kill coming into Wallow, they've actually cracked this one open. So they have quite the preferable sites here, but now they need to maintain it, because Dignitas, they're in a good position to maybe turn it back around on towards C.
Yeah, this is the one thing that we've always seen be really tricky. Like, usually, at least in my opinion, I don't know about yours in particular, but the first minute of the game, to me, really doesn't, in my mind, determine the pace or show how the actual pace of the game can go, because it's such like a scavenge. It's kind of like everyone grab anything you possibly can as fast as possible, because then from there we'll finally work somewhere. But I mean, we'll see. Right now, obviously, Dignitas have been able to pull back the 2-1, and ESC are looking to take maybe C here as they are getting those respawns back in.
And this is the risky choice they made. They went for that CA hold, and as we know, A is kind of out on its own. It's not quite complementing each other like that BC hold. And when you get bullied off of C, you get left with A, and you've got a long run back in, and it will allow Dignitas to get set up. We've seen Expo kind of getting himself round towards where he wants to be, towards that C site, but he needs help to push in here, because as you can see, Dignitas can just lay in wait, Sneaky picking up the kill, and just keep picking them off one by one by one. And, well, I've got to say it, Dignitas almost going for a full squad wipe on towards ESC. They're only left with Baden, who's going to be forced to play in this sort of position, playing carefully through mid, get those respawns in, and then work from there, because they're going to hope that Dignitas don't want to go for a push out towards A. They're just going to play smart and hold the 2-1, because look at those tickets. They don't need to worry too much right now.
The thing was, they won a 1v4 pretty much. They lost one man for killing 4, and right now, ESC, so they finally will make their way in towards the C flag here, but we have Sneaky tucked inside of the tank. And we've seen just obviously in this prior push how strong they weren't holding down this flag, and they're going to do it yet again here. It looks like Sneaky will pick up the kill on Lagzer. using that FAMAS here. And ESC, well, looks like this push will be shut down. And he's still committing a lot of people to this. So if this does fail, they will lose out another 10 to 20 tickets from it.
Yeah, Explo is now in a world of trouble. He's run with the AEK. Interesting choice. And, well, it's not gone well for him. They might have just won out with that one respawn coming for Lagza. Thankfully, his teammate Explo stayed alive long enough to get that one in. The revives come in, and ANC is back in their hands. But that came down to a really small margin of error. And actually, they're already losing out on A because they had no one there to really defend it. So Jerk, straight away, with that FAMAS in hand, all right, I'll pick that one up for you guys, no worries. And that's what they've done. So they will be maintaining a 2-1, but this is going to get messy. This is where it's going to come down to the 1v1s, but look at Baden right now as well. I want to point him out at the moment because he's in a good position. If his teammates go, get taken down, they can respawn on him, like Doobie coming back in, and Janssen. He is going to be in trouble, though, as Walu does pick him up, and actually, it looks like this could be a triple cap coming out if someone goes for the challenge on towards A.
Oh, look at that respawn by Duke. Was that actually a respawn coming in, or did he pick up a couple kills? Maybe he actually did get one, but they respawn towards A flag nonetheless, and they are finally getting the rest of them in here. We're going to have Jerk kind of sit back, tucked in the site, just waiting for this moment to strike. Maybe look for that one kill he does need. There's also giving information. He's telling them, guys, there's about 2 or 3 people coming from A towards C here. Be prepared for it. Sneaky, well, he will get one here, but he will get killed in the backside. And ESC now with the 4-man squad, they might be able to push into C, but I like what Jerk's doing. He's actually distracted a little bit at A. He's trying to hold them off, maybe apply some pressure, pull them back a little bit, but he does get taken down, and he does actually commit at least one more person off ESC to defend against that. But either way, ESC now go for that push on a C here, and it looks like they will defend it.
Yeah, and to be fair, C, not a great place for Dignitas. They did have that nice spawn of Sneaky coming in around the back. C's going to head straight up towards A, pick that one up, and because ESC committed so many people towards that C take, A's fairly light in that form, but once again, B is very light. For Dignitas, they've only got 2 members there. And ESC not being quite quick enough on the trigger to get over there, they're going to be held at a 2-1. And at the moment, ESC really need to find a good, solid 2-1 hold for maybe a minute, maybe around that marker, because at the moment, they're picking up the 2-1s and they're getting the occasional kill, but maybe it's on teammates. They just need to get that little bit of consistency down because they're allowing Dignitas just to kind of dominate the pace here.
And the thing is, even if they do get the 2-1s, they quickly turn back to Dignitas' favor. And right now, we're seeing that tri-cap happen, and this is right off the back of them, getting a 2-cap for a split second or 2 in there. Right now, you can see they are falling by the wayside, getting taken on left and right here. Baden, though, looks like he is potentially one of the last men standing here. Does get a nice nade onto Jaquili, so he does open up the hold yet again here. But Dignitas, they're not done just yet. They're still looking to push into it, and they still have B to contest at the same time.
Yeah, but Jerk is dealing with that. He's running with the FAMAS from a little bit of range, but he's close enough to be able to make that hip fire work if he has to. And he's taken down 2 on that site, and he's just constantly being a pain. So they will pick back up B. They've lost out on C. Now A is the big worry, but they had that one spawn from Frantic. They knew he went down earlier, hit up that random spawn and try and get around there fast enough to be able to defend the cross, which I believe he's just about fast enough to do, and he just needs to get these shots in the bag pretty much. And he's actually gone down. So not ideal, but Walu being there might be able to make a difference. But still, those tickets are quite drastically in favor to Dignitas. They can deal with this because, ESC are having to put so many forces in towards, defending these sites that there's always a bit of a vulnerability. And Dignitas almost had a bit of a push towards C. Sadly, Jerk went down, but they were almost there. So now it's never a safe bet for ESC at the moment. They do have the 2-1 hold, and they need to learn how to keep hold of this for a little bit longer.
And they're trying to be fluid, too. Try to, obviously work off a couple different sites here. And if they do get stopped at one, just, kind of transition into next year. But Janssen, he's trying to defend onto A here. He looks spot 1 man out. Will be taken down, though. And this will be Dignitas maintain this hold. And thing is, they originally had, a 20-ticket lead within the first, minute or 2. Then it quickly expanded to 40, and now we're looking at 60, even potentially more here soon. And Dignitas, I mean, this is at least used to be their map here, and it kind of shows that they have been, practicing with this new lineup, and definitely trying to make it still consistently be a solid map for them.
I like the way they're playing it. They're not exactly, changing too much. They're not playing, a brand new style of Zavod, but they're playing Zavod very well. They're being smart about this, and they're just leaving ESC to make the mistakes. So we do see 2 flags up for grabs. A will be going ESC's favor because Explo kind of got over there early. Smart read from him because they were going to lose out on C. And they've kind of just about hedged their bets. But then again, Dignitas are yet to drop below 100 tickets. A good squad wipe would probably do that for them. But still, it's dangerous for ESC here because you don't want to go into a second half with over 100 tickets to come over as well as the standard amount. So ESC really need to kind of sort themselves out. They've never been able to maintain a 2-1, and they've just been run over by Dignitas constantly, even with players who honor the disadvantage. And Jerk, again, in the right position. He's smart to know there's another player here. Completely outplayed ESC there on that C side. Gets a revive. Thank you, 2-1 again. And there's no kind of backup plan for ESC. They're left out on a limb.
We're looking at pretty much now the final push coming for ESC. If they don't get this 2-cap, they will be looking at probably a 100-ticket deficit coming to the second half. And that's That's not easy to overcome, especially on Zavod here against Dignitas. But we see a nice kill come in for Laxer, gets it on a sneaky, but Frantic immediately on the backside was able to defend against him. And look at this, he's immediately heading towards A, realizing, all right, we probably can't hold on to C here. We have a couple of respawns coming in at B at the same time, and looks like we're just going to go for that flag cap yet again here. And that's the thing, ESC, they've been constantly pushing for that one flag over and over again. But when they finally do cap it, they sent too many men there, and they've known to defend onto any flags they held on prior.
Yeah, really, really dangerous times. And we saw it in Frantic. You pointed out perfectly. He got over there, he got the exchange, he got the cap in the end, which is the very important part to this. So A will be staying in their hands. Those last couple of tickets are just going to be bled away from ESC. And at the moment, it's can they walk away with anything else? No, because it's a triple cap. And I think Dignitas will maintain above 100 tickets. They won't be going in for any respawns there. And that is a huge, huge problem for ESC very early on. And kill-wise, it was still close. You'll see in just a couple of seconds once it gets round to it. But it wasn't a massive difference in kills. It was that play style. It was constantly Dignitas leading the pace, and then maybe ESC responding. They never quite led, you know, their own game style. They're always responding to Dignitas. They were always second to the point, which is a bit of a problem, as you can see. As you noticed, there was never that 2-to-1 in their favor for a long time, because already Dignitas were on that rotate. They were onto that other vulnerable site. And that was just really well played to them. And it's nice seeing Frantic picking up that sort of role and playing it very well, considering he's not maybe the standard member within Dignitas.
And, you know, I really wonder, what is a strategy to come back from, you know, not being able to control the pace, you know, being reactionary? And I think we've even seen some of the best teams struggle with that, where if, you know, one team's controlling everything, you know, just thinking about the quality of each team and how, you know, the caliber of the level they're at, they're not going to lose control of that. And to be able to stop that, I think, is something that a lot of teams are still trying to figure out here. And ESC, as you can tell, I mean, yeah, they finally could break through. Yeah, they were, you know, equal in kills pretty much, but they would always still be that step behind. Dignitas would still be ready, have that next plan already sorted out, and be there already.
Yeah, and I think it just takes a lot of work. It looked like ESC had the right plan initially. They went for that kind of interesting start of the CA hold rather than, you know, challenging out on B. They didn't fancy their chances. I kind of like that. It was a little bit out of the box, and it did catch Dignitas out. But then they didn't challenge well enough on C. They lost out, and then they got overrun. And it seemed like they had this initial plan in mind, and that's all they had. And then it came down to, well, let's just hope we can make this stick. And it doesn't always work when you play like that. You've really got to have every single kind of point in the back of your head. So coming into this one, ESC will be on that Russian side now, and the US team will be Dignitas. So Dignitas do have that option of going maybe for that AC hole, going for the straight up challenge. But I don't think they will. I think they played standard Zavod well enough that they just want to play smart here. And actually seeing Frantic running with the engineer class, I'm kind of curious what he's going to be taking out, you know, in the form of cover, because that's why they generally pick this one up. And it looks like they're going to be removing some of the cover away from C to get a little bit of a better view of the cross. And that's a very interesting spot. You can see him right on the corner there of C, pushing out towards mid now. And he's just going to apply a lot of pressure through mid. Jerk does get the first kill. Laxer does reply, but a very interesting start from Dignitas. They're not going for the, you know, completely typical beginning. They've been very light towards the defensive C. They have picked up B. They've got C. And let's bear in mind, those tickets, they're getting low already for ESC.
Yeah, and I think one thing we've actually found within that first half alone is the Dignitas playstyle. You know, there's teams out there who will just out-frag you forever. That will, you know, get 50 kills and you have 20. And we always mention that, you know, if you can't win a one-on-one fight in an FPS game, you can't expect to win the game overall. But Dignitas, they're a little bit of a different sort. They will beat you on strategy alone. And that's how they go about it, instead of having to work off these kills. And maybe they maybe know they're not the best shooters in the game, but their strategy is top-notch, and a lot of teams have a lot to take from that. But right now, you see they have finally been able to get a little bit of control here. They have, you know, finally capped over C here, but this is the real question. Can they maintain it? Because they had such a hard time of doing that last time.
Well, they're in a good position too. They have Doobie in a nice spot, Baden as well, watching that cross from B towards C or A. But Frantic is a dangerous player right here. He's in a position that's not been quite covered off, allowing around the back of this C site, and he could get some respawns in. Oh, he went a little bit too early then. I think he was a little bit rushed, trying to push in with the rest of his squad, but actually his teammates are winning these one-on-ones anyway, while they're already in the position to cover off. This could be dangerous for ESC. I'd say C is looking very vulnerable right now. The amount of Dignitas members in there down low is picking up a kill. So Jerk with a nice double, they can maintain that B site. They picked up C, and then ESC once again left out in the cold of A. It's really not going well for these guys.
It's really not. And at this point, I mean, if you're one of these teams, or if you're ESC, sorry, in particular, you have to be thinking, all right, next map. I mean, yes, there is, you know, a good chance. There is a chance. I'm not saying good chance, a chance for them to come back here, but it's so minuscule at this point. I mean, you see 125 tickets. They basically have this last attempt to cap something over to get a 2-cap. if they want to have hopes to stay alive here in the second half. And well, we do have ESC finally go for the push in. Doobie can be sitting near the staircase here, and it looks like they will get the neutralization on it and the cap because Dignitas have been wiped out, but immediately Dig again. Right behind him, towards A.
But this time, Explo had got over there pretty quickly. It was like they knew the vulnerability was going to be on A, so they sent 2 players back there. But now they need to make sure this doesn't go over to Dignitas' way because those tickets, as we mentioned, are getting low. But Dignitas are picking up those kills. They weren't just going with 1 man, which is what it seems ESC expected. They put a lot of players there. ESC have 1 out, but they put 3 players there, leaving no one, well, maybe 1 player on the outside of C. Thank God Dignitas got a further back spawn that no players had pushed forward to get those respawns in. Otherwise, that could have gone very badly. But for once, ESC kind of predicted that, okay, there's a vulnerability over on A. Let's make sure we put our players out there almost ahead of the curve. So Dignitas are back down towards this C push in from B, as they do complement each other. But Doobie in a great spot with Janssen to pick up a couple of kills. He's got Baden supporting as well. Fire coming in from Sneaky has taken down Baden, but it's really not helped ESC out at all. Dignitas have bullied their way in on C, and they might just get this site as well.
They might indeed here, and as you see them just, we need a couple kills, and they got him. And there goes C, and honestly, this is it. This is the final push at ESC. You have to see them capture over something right now, or they will have given up this first map here. And with all these nades coming in, Dignitas are looking to just lock this one down here. I think that was 3 or 4 consecutive grenades in the same spot, and Jansen got killed twice by them right there. And that's pretty much bad in the last man standing.
Yeah, and that was just buying time. That squad wipe and those nades bought enough time to get those tickets so close to the marker. If ESC on that blue Russian side drop below 100 tickets, first map Dignitas, and they played it very smart. They're buying time, they're making them play for the respawns, they're just getting those kills in. Dignitas aren't even playing for the flags, they're just stacking these sites out to try and get the kills. Jerk's done that. They have got a 2-1 finally in ESC's favor, but I just don't think it's quick enough. Dignitas know they've got a lot of tickets to play with in this one. Janssen desperately trying to hold on with Doobie. Doobie getting the kills in, but it's a matter of time. Already that random spawn for Frantic coming up by A is probably going to give them this, and to be fair, Baden saying good half just changed. He wants this over and done with. They know it's over. They're a little bit slow off the mark, and any second now that will be dropping down by a couple of tickets. These kills will come in as Lagser is the last man alive. Any respawns will cost him it, and that's as simple as it is. 99 tickets, there we have it. And well, I've got to say, ESC, they changed a little bit on that second half, but it wasn't quite strong enough. They were never quite on the marker. They were never quite there. They sped up on the second half. They started to challenge out on the weaker sites. They started to put players there, which is the correct move. But it was the second half, and they'd already been down 100 tickets. You've got to be doing that near on straight away. But I like the style of Dignitas. I like the way they're playing. They're looking like they've clearly been looking back over the way they've been playing previously. I want to point out the thing that I think it was Janssen did. I think it was Janssen. I'm not 100% sure, actually. I know it was Frantic, I believe, who actually picked up the engineering role at the very start. And we've been seeing it on a couple of maps, especially like Railway Dignitas, which is actually funny enough what we're going to next, which I want to point out when we get in it. They pick up the engineer class, and they literally blast a path straight to the enemy, or straight to the point that they want. In the map we just saw on Zavod, he took out the immediate wall in front of him to be able to watch across towards B. So they didn't have the straight pressure kind of coming from C around the back towards B. They had a kind of mid-cross as well. So it was a really nice way to eliminate what the other side, the Chinese side, or I think it is, or sorry, the US side, is able to actually do straight away, which is kind of get a little bit more cover on their side and actually be able to do something. Taking that away makes it a lot harder. So I'm kind of expecting to see that from Dignitas on here. I'm not too sure if they'll run with it immediately, but I can imagine they will. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one, but in my eyes, Dignitas just looked that little bit stronger.
My question is, are we going to see the rocket launcher spot here again? Because if you guys remember from last season at the offline finals, Dignitas were playing, I can't remember the team off the top of my head, but they were playing against a team here. And they spawned in, obviously, typically where you will.
On which side?
I believe on the Chinese, if I'm not mistaken.
Take me there. Take me there with that. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah.
And from here, they had 3 rockets shot directly at them when they just spawned in to start the game. And I think 3 or 4 of them died off the bat. And they were like really confused because they've never seen that happen to them. And then they ended up losing in the end of all things in that game. And I don't know, just little tricks like that can always catch you off guard here. But you were saying, Gomon Railway, engineer classes, we're probably going to see plenty of these.
So let me talk you through this then, as best as I can, at least when you're spectating. So,
what are you trying to say?
I'm just letting you know. So from the kind of back of C, where they'll generally spawn in if they're on that side. I'm not sure if they are yet. So from the back of C, they'll generally pick up that engineer class if they're running that strategy and if they have that spawn. I'm not sure if they do it the other way around, but they'll take out almost a wall in that school building straight ahead, which is right across the road. They'll take out a little bit of cover there. They'll also blast a little bit of a way through the other wall by B. So they'll kind of manhandle a route towards that A flag. They'll kind of force feed it to the enemies while leaving Jerk up in those houses by that C point. So it's a really interesting strat they run with, and I kind of want to see if they use it here. I'm not sure if they will. It's kind of been done and dusted through the cups, but then again, you know, not every team has an anti-strat for it. Sometimes you just have to kind of deal with it. I'm not sure if they have the ideal spawn for it, actually, saying that. I think ESC generally have the spawn they'd run with. So I'm looking to see if they pick up the engineer class at all. Now they have this sort of spawn. And Frantic and Jerk both have it. So we could be seeing something similar. And I kind of want to see what sort of route they blast their way through to.
Yeah, and you know, the one spot you're mentioning, where obviously Jerk has said he can stand up here and just get that vision, or obviously over towards this side as well. Just any of the buildings towards the back of C, and there's another one you're trying to point out to me in particular here, is this tri-building area. And the information, I feel like a team like Dignitas, they're a team that thrives off information. Definitely. And obviously, as you've seen, like, they're not maybe the best of aimers. They won't get the most frags ever, but they'll beat you strategy alone. And information is so crucial for that. But here we go, kicking things off. Dignitas over on that Chinese side, and ESC over on the Russian side. And as you're calling before, they're blasting holes in everything.
Yeah, it's Frantic kind of alleviating some of the pressure of if they lost control of those buildings on C, because they're already putting 2 players into it. They've sent 2 over towards A, but they haven't gone for the 2-to-1 cap straight up. So Frantic's still doing the work here. He's trying to get set up a little bit later, and you can see on Frantic's screen, if we can go over there right now, he's pretty much given a pathway through towards this C site. You can jump off from those buildings and get over towards it. He's getting the squad kind of spawning in towards him, and they're going to work for maybe an AC hold from this, and I think they might get it. The only player who might be able to stop them will be Explo, who's quite far back. Nice couple of kills coming in for ESC, though. It's actually held off the push, so Dignitas not quite getting the start they want, but they weren't playing for that initial game. They're playing for a little bit later here, because with Explo in that spot, they're kind of held back right now, because he can pretty much undo their plans. And I think they're finally noticing it to try and use positions to outdo him and put down some pressure. But still, the cover they removed and the route they gave is going to make it hard work. But Doobie is in a good position to challenge out on that C site. He's going to be challenged on this one. He is in trouble. He knows this player is here. He's going to have to try and win this 1v1. But Walu just comes in with an ace 23, takes him down, and will get that 2-to-1 into Dignitas' hands.
You're seeing XPLO. He's been up these buildings, I want to say, the entire game so far, and he's been giving the information out. He doesn't have the most of kills, currently 2-1 at the moment, but he's getting a lot of information, as you can see. He's spotting out people, he's shooting at them as well, and unfortunately for him, they have kept C back over, but look at this line hold that Dignitas have. A and B controlled. Frantic could be the man to alleviate this pressure that's coming towards A here, and he's going to pick up that first kill as well. And right now, Dignitas, they seem pretty comfortable. Yeah,
they definitely do, and it's a matter of time until they try and get Jerk out towards those buildings. They're currently in a good spot, but they're not maybe in the best position to hold this for an extended period of time, because they're just depending on winning these one-on-ones, which they probably will do, but the respawns will not put them in the best spot here. They might be hoping for a back C spawn if they go for the random, but they are being taken down, and actually ESC are pretty much getting their way across towards that B side. You've got Janssen going towards a school building, and a couple of players like Lagza and Doobie around the back of B. They could really do something here, but as I mentioned, Dignitas do get their random spawn with Juquili getting there, and if he was a little bit faster, he might have gone for the trip cap, but right now he's going to have to pick up this 1 kill, which he doesn't get. And well, that means C will be left on hold for another couple of seconds. But with the likes of Walu doing the job, they might just pick this one up.
What gun was that I just saw? I think that was Jerk I was tagging along with, or maybe Juquili. Actually, it was Juquili. He's sitting there using the M16. Wow, I have not actually seen that since you played it back when we played Battlefield together.
Hey, look, that gun is OP.
It's solid. It's solid. I'm just saying.
People underestimate it, man.
I typically don't see people ever using the M16 anymore.
Yeah, it's an interesting pickup, to be fair, and I believe it's like actually a burst fire gun, so you can't do like a full auto on it, which kind of makes it less ideal. If I'm correct, I may be mistaken. I will double check. But you know, if he's playing it from a little bit further back, if he's kind of being more of a lockdown player on spots, he's in a good position to do so with that weapon. It's a nice little gun, but it's not as versatile as, let's say, some of the others in a unique position.
Do you think this is a step up from the Scar from being taken out? Maybe this is like his plan of kind of working around that, because he's playing really far back positions where the Scar would really benefit you.
Well, he's got some other kind of attributing factors with the angle grip going for those first couple of shots to land, so it kind of makes sense, but you can see how much damage those engineers have done on this map. They've kind of flattened it down. If you even just look at Juquili,
were there buildings in this game?
Yeah, once upon a time, but at the moment it's a very very close game, 109 to 102, 2-1 hold to Dignitas. But there's been no extended holds of either side. You know, it's been a constant back and forth. But these buildings are being made to rubble. So late game is going to come down to just one-on-one aggressive play.
We'll find out how one's going to work out here. This building, well, I was about to say, it's barely standing. As you see it crumbling to pieces right there. It will get taken down. And that's what's really interesting is that A building is always so crucial when holding on to the A flag. So you eliminate that from the equation, and it makes things so damn difficult for you to really, you know, kind of work from there. So maybe Dignitas are trying to play that to their strategy, maybe work out, you know, the one-on-ones or maybe something like that instead of holding a positional advantage here. But still, they're maintaining control of A and B. It seems to be their, you know, 2 flags they really enjoy holding. But a 3-man push, though, from ESC can be working towards this B flag here. But that will be the first event XPLO taken down. Now, Jansen coming from the side is looking for someone. But those buildings provide, funny enough, a lot of cover.
Yeah, but it's more on the ground kind of stuff. It's not from above. They're kind of trying to take this away, and I understand it. But it's kind of weird seeing it from Dignitas, who have, like, Jerk generally playing these positions. And it's kind of forced maybe ESC to pick up a couple more Famises to go for those one-on-one exchanges. But still, Doobie and Co, they need to get hold of a site pretty damn quick because A and B has been in the hands of Dignitas for quite some time. They look towards B there. They're getting a couple of respawns. They're in a good spot to make a push across the map. But with all this rubble in the way, they're just not winning out on these one-on-ones. Jerk also run with the Famis. Very big difference, actually. Normally, he's the one with the longer range weapons, just kind of keep him at bay. But Dignitas have definitely switched something up here. Very different strategy from them. And at the moment, it's kind of paying off. Not as, let's say, clear-cut as previously, but they're still winning this. So it's nice to see them adapting. Very different playstyle. And it's working. 66 to 94, Dignitas have a good lead.
And ESC looks like they have gone for maybe a couple of random spawns here coming from the backside of B. They're committing 4 people. Remember, this is kind of what we saw on Zavod. They commit so many resources into that one flag cap, and they always get things turned around on them. So I wouldn't be surprised if B does get capped over. You see Dignitas make a straight move towards that C flag, but in the meantime, they're actually more content on actually trying to hold on to it here instead of, you know, kind of just go for a back cap.
Yeah, and well, at the moment, Dignitas finally have one of their sides taken away from them, but already B is being challenged out. Sneaky holding them back by C, denying an easy push across round the back, and actually B will be taken back, I can imagine, into Dignitas' hands. Baden does a little bit of damage towards Frantic, but it's a real bloodbath here. Both teams kind of exchanging sloppily back and forth, but this is finally what ESC needed, but they must get this side. They must get B in their favor rather than neutralized, because Dignitas can still enjoy this. They still have the ticket lead, so it will kind of stay where it is right now. Finally, we see a push in from ESC around the backside, but they're not getting the penetration in towards the side. The kills are coming in, but they must make a move now. One man in that side building is going to try and hold them back, but the nades keep them at bay. That was Frantic, and you know, a good 3 or 4 members of Dignitas going down has left B vulnerable, and they're going in dribs and drabs. That's a mistake, and it could cost them a good couple of tickets.
And I don't know about you, but that seemed to really, like, we saw a lot of hesitation in the eyes of ESC going in towards that B side. They sometimes wanted to go in through the back, but then they kind of like, you know, there's like, I don't want to die. I don't want to be that man. Maybe we should go in another direction. That hesitation, though, cost him quite a few tickets here. And right now, I'm worried about how that's going to affect him, obviously, throughout this game here. But right now, Doobie, he's the man to watch. He's trying to hold on to C here for his team. To be a couple men respawning on top of him, but a couple men being taken down from Dignitas as well. Jansen was obviously the receiver of that one, but Doobie will pick up a kill on a jerk right there, and will get killed from the backside though. So Dignitas, they're going to get control of C here in just a few seconds, and now they're already set up to hit B at the same time here. Walu and Frantic here kind of watching the cross maybe, and look at these respawns on the side of ESC. That's probably one of the worst things you can have happen right now.
Definitely, it's going to bully them out, and they actually might get triple capped against them because of those spawns just coming in, and it's how it happens. B is so far away from them getting across to. They had 2 players luckily there, but they weren't there fast enough, and this triple cap is going to take away like 20 tickets in the end from ESC, because let's say they take one side back, it's still a 2-to-1 hold. They look like they're going to try up on A, and with minimal buildings to kind of, you know, maybe shoot farm, they could have done a little bit better from that, but Frantic around the side finds Explo, leaving Baden in real trouble. He's been taken down. They did pick up A, but straight away Dignitas could turn that if they want to get another trip cap.
And they very well could, as you do see Jaquili, he's going to be the man to defend on that one. In the meantime, they're going to lose C here, but Sneaky, looks like he picked up a major kill right there. We'll spot that second man out. And it looks like him and Walu are kind of like a 2-man squad together as they both push in towards that C flag. They're going to cap it over, and they are constantly applying this pressure. It looks like they want to go in with a 70-ticket lead here, as there's only 22 left on ESC's side. And right now, ESC, they have not been able to pick up the kills they need. You can see only 1 man is above 10. Over on the side of Fnatic, they had 2, and obviously 3 people sitting at 9 kills.
big difference coming around on this map, and this is looking like Dignitas have really done their homework. I said that they looked a little bit different on the first, that they are like, a little bit different in their playstyle initially, but they've really switched up here. And knowing that they're stronger on that second half as well, I'd be very worried if I was ESC. Yes, it's a smaller advantage to come back from, but ESC are really just in dribs and drabs right now. Explo gets taken down by Jerk. The pushing from Lags and may just save him a couple of seconds, but it's not going to do enough. They're down to almost 0 tickets on this first half, and Dignitas have made this hurt. They look dominant. There's been triple caps. It's been a constant supply of pressure, and they're going to walk away with a 67 ticket advantage. And to be fair, that's not what ESC needed. This looks like it could be over in 2 maps.
I very well think it could be. I definitely agree with you on that one. And I'm actually curious about something. Is that, Dogbert said there's something that Dignitas have to show us today. I'm not sure exactly what it was. He didn't want to tell us. Didn't want to ruin their chances of getting into, obviously, the playoffs. But one thing I think we saw there was they're more comfortable playing with the buildings knocked down than ESC seemed to be.
It's interesting that, because
like, how often do we see that many buildings taken down? Like, especially the A building.
Very rarely.
I think out of every game I've done in Gomer Railway, that's the first time I've seen it taken down.
Yeah, we might see the school building having like some other stuff removed away from it, a couple of the walls, but not to that extent. And considering Dignitas used to play this very, let's say, vertical advantage game, that's a very fancy way of saying they used to play in the buildings. So Jerk would be generally up there playing around, with that Scar H in hand or whatever weapon they pick up. But this time, they're playing like this kind of back to basics, smart battlefield, which I like. It's catching teams out. Even I knew Dignitas as this team who play in those upper buildings. I knew them as that team, but they've come out and been very different here. And I like that. I like the way they're switching up, and it's brave doing it at this point of the tournament.
I honestly, I kind of feel like it couldn't have hurt him. No offense, but past results for Dignitas. Cup number 1, quarterfinals, lost to Epsilon. Cup 2, quarterfinals, lost to Pyrogen. Cup 3, semifinals, lost to Epsilon. Cup 4, round of 16, lost to Wartime, who is obviously the 4th team in Group A. I mean, they haven't had the best results, and I obviously, I don't mean bad by that, but just it's pure stats right there. I mean, there's no other way of saying it. They just have not been performing well. And I wonder if that's just adaptation time. If you look at Pyrogen, obviously at the end of the first season, they didn't even get past, I think it was round of 16 the entire Cup season. Coming as a 16th place team, but then they just stomp everyone in their group and place 2nd overall. So obviously it could be maybe that time that Dignitas needed to build up a great synergy within their team.
Well, let's find out. Now, I know what Dignitas are like on this side, but we're actually seeing a very similar start from ESC to what Dignitas brought, with those, obviously, all those rocket launches going off just in their faces. That, school buildings have taken an absolute pounding. C buildings have taken it too. And actually, ESC are winning out on these 1v1s. You can see it right there. Already, Walu is down. Jerk's in trouble a little bit. Jaquili's picking up the kills with that M16A4 in hand. And this is a very scrappy battle, but it will be a 2-1 hold in Dignitas straightaway's hands. And that is going to be real trouble here, because this could be a triple cap to boot.
Yeah, you see over at A, I don't know who this man is. Maybe I can actually... Jaquili. Oh, I should have expected that. Has actually won out a couple of fights there and actually has been able to maintain it here. And the thing was, we saw ESC, I think, commit 4 people towards C. 4 people towards that initial fight. And when they, they won him for the most part, but then it took like maybe a kill or 2 to finally turn things around. Then Jaquili kind of realized that, got the information from his team. Hey, I'll just back cap on him, get the A flag, and get that early pressure that they've been able to apply. And now they have a CB hold here. And let's take a look at the overview. As you see, they're not content with that. They want A as well.
Yeah, and why not? They're doing absolutely perfectly at it. So, I don't know what to say. Dignitas, perfect start, and a lot of tickets taken away so quickly from ESC that they're kind of in trouble already. Let's take this seriously here. If Dignitas maintain this 2-1, constantly applying pressure to that third, I don't know what's going on. And ESC are fairly locked out here. They're just down towards C. But this building removes. That B hold's not as, maybe, let's say, fundamentally kind to Dignitas as it was before. Now they're going to have to play this kind of ground battle, which we know they like, but whether or not they can actually make this stick, I don't know. At the moment, with Lags are picking up the kills, it could be going their way. Dignitas are going to have to find a new way to do this, because they're not winning out enough in these 1v1s early on to be able to make this stick, even though they've been keeping fairly even so far.
Yeah, they have. And if you look at kills overall, it's 11-9. In favor of ESC, that's just 2 extra kills, but the tickets are completely different. 140 to 107, like that is huge. And that's obviously going back to just how the game started, with ESC committing too many men towards that C flag and not really capping it over.
Yeah, and I do want to give you guys a quick update. If you are just watching the stream, want to know about the other groups, ICY just picked up the first map against MYM. So upsets everywhere at the moment. So we're going to have to find out how that one pans out in the end. But right now, Dignitas doing what they do best. It's going to come down to B. At the moment, I'd say ICY were in the better position, a little bit more set up, getting those respawns in, and a little bit more cover. But Dignitas are just playing it smart. They're getting the picks in, they're getting the little kind of shots here and there, and they need to get in a position to make a push. A couple of players around the backside using that rock to climb over and challenge, but Jug going down to Lagza is not going to make this one easy. This is going to be a little bit harder work coming through, actually. So I'm kind of curious if they can make this one really count. And funny enough, the M416 in the hands of Lagza there. So they're all trying out these different variations. And that was actually one of my favorite weapons for a good long while. So I do like that one.
Yeah, I've been on the receiving end of that one plenty of times.
Yeah, indeed. I've got to say, it's a solid weapon. But at the moment, ESC are in a good position to make this one hurt. They're keeping Dignitas back at a good bit of distance. Nice work from Lagza there, using their gun to kind of abilities. Nice fire rate, good damage, is a good all-rounder. He does finally go down from the aggressive push, which can happen with those CZs in the hands of Sneaky and co. A little bit better close range, I'd say. Kind of similar to the Famous. But Dignitas do reclaim that 2-1, but they're going to have to lock this one down. Let's bear in mind, ESC is still a very good team, but Dignitas have constantly been in control at the moment. But if ESC find their way back in, they stop dying to these silly situations every now and then, they could certainly do some damage, but they're held in a 2-1 against them, and they don't look like they're finding an easy route through.
They haven't been able to cap anything for quite a while, too. I mean, Wilder right now, it seems to be like he's kind of playing like maybe too easy, maybe a little bit like Horik. He's just trying to be very aggressive, bring the fight to them. And the thing is, when you fight on the other team's soil or the other team's half of the map,
yeah,
they have to traverse their half of the map and your half of the map to get towards any flag. And by then, you're going to get a respawn in. So as long as you're fighting on that edge of the map here, you're actually, having an advantage even if you do lose out on the 1v1s.
Yep, and at the moment, A and B still in the hands of Dignitas, and ESC in scraps. You can see one player over by C, one by B. It's not what they needed. Janssen does pick up Sneaky, but where's the push off the back of it? The tickets are so damn low now. We're so close to the marker that ESC are literally falling to pieces because of this. They haven't had that good push. They haven't had the synergy. Only 2 players standing. I think that we've got to have to call this right here, right now, because ESC can barely respawn, and I think they know it. They're going to be leaving that server pretty damn quickly. And to be fair, Dignitas looking very dominant from the start. Dignitas with a solid victory. Good 2-0 game. And credit to them, they came out looking a lot stronger than they did before.
Yeah, they did. And honestly, this is probably the best time to make that happen, too. I mean, they had a very disappointing performance in last season. I know Wilder was very disappointed, obviously, with the team and how it worked out. And Dauber was a little bit sad as well.
Dauber's always a little bit sad.
He shed a couple of tears into his Dignitas jersey, of course.
Yeah.
But they're looking better.
They definitely are.
My question to you is, how do you feel they compare against the teams we've already seen qualify? I mean, it's hard to obviously match that up, but...
Yeah. Well, if they're preparing
I feel like they
already,
can match up against Pyrogen.
I think they could. Yeah. I think they could certainly challenge. Dignitas have always been a good side. They just kind of lacked a little bit of the, let's say, dominance. They haven't quite had that edge where they've been leading the pace. They've always been a little bit behind. So I think this could be good.
I feel like they never hit their honeymoon period with their team. You know what I mean?
They never had that fresh players. They came in from Battlefield 3 with a very similar lineup.
Yeah.
And, if you have that lineup, if you're very good with it, great. It's like Fnatic. They came in with a very similar lineup. They played well, but they also kind of let it slip. They had to refresh theirs a bit. They got Drunks in, Winghaven put more back to a backup role. And it helped Fnatic. Let's be serious here. You look at the the points, let's say, over the overall season so far, and you're like, well, it's kind of the same as last season. But then everyone else stepped up. If you read the article I put out, everyone else has played a lot better. Fnatic previously won by quite a margin, with UMAV kind of being an annoyance to them. This time around, everyone's a lot better.
Forever second for UMAV.
Exactly. But, they've really stepped up Dignitas, and this is what they needed. Maybe a little bit of, fresh blood in the lineup to kind of switch things up, to not be so stuck in their ways. I think it's helped them a little bit here.
You got to bring someone else in that has a fresh mindset.
Definitely.
The thing is, one of the worst things you can do as a team, obviously you play competitively more than I have, is be stagnant in your gameplay.
Oh, gotcha.
You're easy to read. We were talking about, obviously, earlier on about Counter-Strike, in particular, a certain team. Like, you watch a couple other demos, you're like, all right, they're going to do this round. And they did it exactly. And if teams can pick up on that, then you're gonna be screwed.
There was a phrase, let's say, that we used to say that had slightly stronger words than the one I'm going to repeat to you guys at home. But play like idiot, win like idiot. You play this unexpected game that people don't know how to counter, you generally win, because let's say you're playing against a very well-known team.
Well, I mean, we had that. Sorry to interrupt you, but Fnatic against who was that they complained about? You saw Too Easy saying some words. It was against Planet Key.
Yeah, I think it was PKD, or it was either or, because both of them did it.
Infamous. Yeah, they were like, you guys aren't even playing any strategy. You just run around with your heads cut off.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but sometimes it works. Sometimes a mixed team is dangerous because you cannot predict them to a T. Teams like Fnatic, teams like Epsilon, these teams will anti-strat. And when they work out what you're doing, you become a null and void point. It just comes down to winning one-on-ones, which when you know what the opposition is doing, you can already hold yourself an advantage. Okay, well, I know they're going to push here, so I'm going to hold this angle and just wait. I'll have, a little bit of a bonus because I won't have the spread to worry about. I will have immediately aimed in the right place, and I've got it. Simple as that. If you play a little bit unexpected, you go for these new strategies that people don't expect. Right. You catch these guys off guard, and then as soon as a big team starts doubting themselves, that's where you see the cracks appear. And that's how, the big teams do fall. They get overconfident in their own ways, I feel, sometimes. And they kind of think, well, screw this, they're playing stupid. We'll just play our own game and hope for the best. Sometimes that's not enough. You've got to be able to think outside the box as well. And that's the difference between a good team and a great team, is the ones who can adapt to these kind of off-the-wall strategies, which Dignitas clearly are willing to bring out, which I like seeing.
I was really tired of seeing them on Dawnbreaker every single time someone jerk up that side alley, because the first couple times it worked.
It was awesome.
We were casting. Then we saw like a Cup 3 team expected it, killed them, and they just destroyed them on it. But obviously, I hope for them they're hitting that honeymoon period now. They're hitting that, we're having some good times. We're finally starting to win some games. We're doing well, and we're performing well. The question is if they can keep it up, obviously, with the next games.
Funny enough,
playoffs.
You speak about sending players up that, like Jurg used to kind of do that one beeline run. We've seen teams like Infamous kind of clearly looking at that. I don't know if they'd ever admit to it, but going, that kind of worked a little bit. How can we adapt from it? They now take down, the side little ramp. You can kind of take down grenades. They put like 3 players up there. Fnatic did the same thing against Infamous on the second half. So, maybe adapting a little bit can catch people out, and it can cause them to play out of their comfort zone. So I think if Dignitas keep playing like this, there's very much a lot of upsets on the way, and I can imagine there's a couple more games coming up in just a moment, and we need to find out what's going on in the other game.
I can tell you.
Do let me know.
Okay, so apparently, on the second map in the first round, Isuba won by 3 tickets.
Ooh. So guys, do make sure you stick around. We'll be giving you some live updates when we come back from the break, which is exactly what we're going to be going to. So guys, do stay tuned. We'll be back in 5 with another game.